I'm 30, and I've discovered that that means that I'm dead to society. If you're over the age of about 25, I think, then you suddenly stop existing to the advertising industry and to like everything that isn't Michael Parkinson life insurance policies and time insurance, home price property insure matrix corpulation and things of that general kind of nature. So like I'm societally obligated now. I'm socially obligated now to start caring about property investment and dancing in a really restrained fashion, like your father at a dance. You know, with your left leg, you sort of lean your body over to the right a bit, and your fist slightly bobs a bit, and your left leg slightly twitches a bit, and just your face slightly bobs. Basically, your whole body moves in very slight and constrained and decidedly respectable and enslaved fashions. You're basically you're saying to the world around you, look at me, I'm a middle-aged person who will obey all social rules of decorum and etiquette and will not make my body move in any way that is not entirely under my rational control and stuff. So I guess that means I've got to stop, so I've got to stop doing those crazy dances that I do on the camera sometimes. And I got to start dancing like my father did. Got to start dancing like everybody's father. And I've got to start using the furthest away fork and knife and the dinner table. I got to wait to put my napkin on until after everybody else has started eating their meals. I've got to not eat my meals until everybody else has started eating their meals. I've got to use the knife and fork instead of just not bothering to use them at all, like I usually do. What else have I got to do? I dare say I think I'm going to have to start taking my jacket off indoors so I'll get the benefit when I go outside, which is truly the sign of old age. No, that's not quite true. You're not really old age until you start telling other people to do that in those exact words. The word benefit and outside and jacket must all be in the sentence for it to count. So, where are we then? Yeah, so I'm old now according to the world. Although I've discussed this before, age is weird, so I'm old now. Until I'm like 50, and then I'll be thinking that I was young now. And then when I'm 70, I'll think that I was young when I was 50. And then when I'm dead, I'll think that I was young when I was not dead. That's how it works. But regardless of that, I really need to start pulling my socks up and acting like a respectable chartered accountant, despite the fact that I'm not a respectable chartered accountant, but I'm of the age when I'm supposed to be one. So, to summarise all of that, I'd better start taking an interest in things for respectable gentlemen in their not youth. The kind of people that would the kind of people that walk into an office of a corporation and sit at their desk and wear a tie and a suit and have a thing, and they go into an office and walk towards their desk and sit at the desk thinking that they want to be there and not thinking that they don't want to be there and that they're surrounded by people and things that they don't want in their lives, and wearing a nice suit and a nice tie and thinking, man, this suit and this tie are both things that I want on my body and that represent me. And they look up from their desk at the corporation's logo, which is on the wall somewhere, and think to myself, man, that corporation is a thing that I identify with and belong to and would not want to not be in my life. And so, and then they what do they do? Oh no, I forgot to mention one thing, of course. No, they do all that, and then they get up out of the chair over to the kitchen to prepare themselves a cup of coffee to take to start the day off. Although, of course, obviously, that's not technically the first coffee they had, because they would have had a cup of coffee before they left their house as well. Anything else I've missed on that list there? Oh, well, also, before they left their house, they took the Daily Mail paper that they get delivered to them and put it in a safe place inside the house for them so that they can come back home and read it in the evening. The Daily Mail is a British newspaper, which is the British equivalent of Bill O'Reilly if Bill O'Reilly was a newspaper. Now, I think I just about checked everything off the list there. So, I am of age to be respectable now. So it's time. The time has come, folks. The time has finally come to look up the Sun Life over 50s plan. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Nice background in Bing there, by the way. That indistinct human there in the middle of that, all that weird, wacky sky. I know what you're thinking.
But Mr. X, you're not over 50!
Oh, you're right, I'm not over 50. Actually, you know, when they say stuff like over 50, I think what they mean is 50 or over. Over 50 sounds like they mean 51 or more. Over 51 is over 50, but 50 isn't over 50, it is 50. It is exactly 50. But I think they mean 50 or older. Well, you're right, I'm not 50 years old, and I've got to wait at least 20 years until I will be, regardless of whether 51 or 50 is the number that over 50 is. But, well, it's never too early to start taking an interest in these things. Just like your teachers say, kids, you should start caring about this stuff now, because when you're old, you'll be old. Michael Parkinson has made himself well known on the British televisions. All my British viewers will be well aware of Michael Parkinson's efforts to make British over 50-year-olds aware that there's a life insurance plan for... You took a while to load, didn't you? Whoa! I got a slight shock there, because they took about 20 seconds to appear. Is this a screamer? That's the sort of thing, like it took a long time for that to pop up there. It is like one of those screamer websites where they get you to zoom in on this incredibly small text on a black screen so you can read it, and then after you've done that for a little period of time, then suddenly, BAM! It's the demon from The Exorcist, because that's what it always is. That thing's not even that scary. Although the first time I ever saw a screamer, it was that, and I was actually terrified. The demon from The Exorcist appeared and a scream came on, and I think I was more shocked with that than I ever have been in my whole life at anything. My heart skipped. My heart went. Like, man, I was absolutely terrified. I ran out of the room and refused to come back in for quite some time. I think I even got my mother to turn off the computer. That's how much that messed me up. But that was a long time ago now. You don't scare me, Michael Parkinson. Bring on your demon, exorcist demon. Your over 50-year-old person. Actually, yeah, they're just showing over 50-year-old. That's enough to traumatise everybody. Does that guy look over 50, by the way? Does he look like a... Does that guy... Do you look at him there? I'm talking about the man at the bottom, not that person at the top there. Does he look... Do you look at his face and think that is a person who is 50 years old? Because I don't. I don't know if you've heard this, folks, but I have heard it said that when you get magazines and other things that are targeted towards people that are older, then what they tend to do is, because they don't want the person buying it to feel old, because people don't like to feel old, especially these days, we're all obsessed with youth nowadays, that the age when elders were respected is dead. So if you're like 70, if you want to buy the Saga magazine, and if it said it was for over 70s, and you were 75, you'd probably feel, oh no, I don't want to be an old person reading Saga magazine. But then if Saga says it's a magazine for over 50s, even though everybody that buys it is over 70, then the 75-year-old looks at that and thinks, oh, well, yeah, I suppose that's reasonable, that's not too old, so they buy it. So that's the trick. Old people's things actually say they're for people over 40 or something, when it's for people over 40, when it's actually for people over 60. They put it as a younger age than it really is, just to make you buy it. Okay. But we've gone on far too long. This allegedly 50-year-old man there is welcoming us to... What is that boy so happy about? He's not even looking at that bigger 90% gift card. Bigger than what? £90 gift card. Bigger than what? Well, I see the little hash symbol thing there, so where does that lead to? Where on earth does that... Oh, is that this double cross down here? Why is a crucifix... why is the crucifix used as a note symbol? I've noticed that more these days. Normally it's a little asterisk symbol, but you sometimes get a crucifix. It's just, there's no two ways about it. That's a crucifix. It's not a T, it's a crucifix. Because it's not even in the same... If that was a T, like look, there's a T right there. There's a capital T over there. That is a crucifix. So I don't get that. Anyway, the UK, well, I mean, it's appropriate, of course, for a life insurance policy. I suppose. Well, anyway, the UK's most trusted over 50s life insurance. The most affordable over 50s life insurance for lifelong peace of mind. Get a quote in 60 seconds. Well, I have to go and check on I have to look into life insurance policies. It's time to stop goofing around, spending 6 hours on little children's show websites and doing video game commentaries and blabbering on about nonsense. It's time to serious up, straighten up my shoes, wear staid, unpatterned, dull-coloured clothing, and shout at children to get off my lawn. So get your quote. Tell us a bit about you. Certainly, madam. Let's see then. What am I? Mr., Mrs., Ms. Oh, Ms. is a separate option now. Well, Mr. is be me. Wait. Okay, it only asks if you're male or female if you didn't put Mr. or Mrs. That's right. Okay, first name, Mr. Last name X. Date of birth. I'm not going to give away my exact date of birth, just in case you somehow figure out just so you can't throw the nukes over. If you have a policy reference code, what is a policy reference code? If your reference code may have been included in a letter from us about the guaranteed over 50 plan. If you have received a letter but haven't got the code to hand, please call our friendly UK-based team for help. The friendly UK-based team. You mean the call centre? I don't like when stuff does this. I don't like when companies do things like this. The friendly call centre team. It's a bunch of minimum wage people that you bought for minimum wage to sit at a phone and listen to people rant at them. You can't call them friendly. You don't know whether they're friendly or not. Don't say... You hired these people at minimum wage again, which means that you effectively, if you're paying them minimum wage, if you're paying them minimum wage, then it means you know that they're just doing this because it's the only thing that they could do. So you know that you can exploit them, and so you have no knowledge whether they're friendly or not. Don't tell me they're friendly when you don't know whether they're friendly. Anyway, telephone number. Don't worry, we will only use your telephone number to talk to you about your quote or application. That's good. So they won't phone me to talk about the latest football game at Winchester Grand National Stadium, or to talk about the latest happenings in the Kim Kardashian household or something like that. Email address. No little note on the email address, so I guess they might email me at that for some nefarious purpose. Well, at that.com. Blondes Gardens. That was the thing on that thing. Your details may be used by Sun Life and one of our carefully selected partners to talk to you about your... Wait. So your carefully selected partners might also contact you to talk about their stuff. Reassure and insure me. Well, I'm guessing they're both related to insurance because they've got the word sure in their name. They've got the word particle of sure in both of their names. Is that like in British trade unions where... Is that like... I wonder if it's similar to British trade unions where every single one of these stupid unions has got a... Every single one of these stupid unions is just named after either the word union or a variation on the word union. There's one called Unite, and there's one called United, and there's one called the Union. Like it's not very original, guys. Anyway, I think we've given them enough information to... Oh wait, I just realised I'm going to get rejected off the bat for that birthday there. Let's see what happens. Your phone number's got to start with a 0, do you? Should have 11 numbers and start with a 0. Right, 0. Oh, that's the dash, no. 0, there. How many numbers is that? That's not enough numbers. That's enough numbers. Okay. Give me my quote. Oops, you are too young for this plan, sunshine. Lucky you. Lucky you. Wait a minute. You have to be 49 or older to apply? What? Do they not even know? Do they not know the definition of an over 50 plan? Well, I have learned something then. So I don't have to wait 20 years to apply for this thing. I've got to wait for 19 years to apply for the over 50s plan. But the second I turn 86, it seems that I don't qualify anymore. What's the reason for that? What's the sinister, underhanded purpose to that age limit, huh? They just expect you to trip over and fall into a coffin at any second. As far as they're concerned, you're already dead when you turn 86. Maybe it's like that movie where everybody that reaches the age of 30, funnily enough, gets murdered. What was that? For a long time I wondered what that movie was. I remembered seeing it as a child, but I didn't know what it was. Logan's Run, that's it. An old movie called Logan's Run. A sci-fi future movie, which, because it was made in the 80s, that means that it was a horrible, terrible world, because that was what all science fiction was in the 80s. And then never again, for some reason. So, yeah, everybody got taken to some place and murdered, killed. It got put into some ludicrous Ferris wheel and killed. But somebody doesn't want to be killed, so they go on a daft trip, and then some robot says, "It is my job to freeze you!" And then they get out, and everything's sugar and dandy, I think. So, once you turn 86, Michael Parkinson himself will come to your house with a sawn-off shotgun and see to planting your geraniums. If you're aged 18 to 59, oh, that covers me, then the Sun Life Family Life Insurance is an affordable way of providing a cash sum for your loved ones should the worst happen. You mean, should I die? Just say it, Parkinson. Should I die? Die. It's a word that exists for a reason. Die. 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 What's people's problem with the word die? And for that matter, why does my cursor appear to not be able to decide whether or not it's dead? Look at this. This mouse has suddenly gone crazy. I don't even know if I've got Hypercam set to record this mouse anymore, but I think the mouse is finally... The mouse has returned from the spirit world. Okay. Alright, well, I don't remember Michael Parkinson telling me anything about the family life insurance. You didn't mention that in your adverts. It was the over 50s plan was the only thing about it. There's no mention of a free Parker pen at all for this. I bet you don't even get a free Parker pen for this 18 to 59 one. You're not old enough for that. You're not one of the big boys. You got to use a pencil. You don't get to use a pen in Scotland. At school, I didn't get to use a pen until I was in primary 6, which is 6th grade. They wouldn't let you have pens before then. You weren't mature enough to have a different kind of object put on paper in front of you, I guess. Well, it was easier to rub out pencil than pen, except, of course, it really wasn't, because the stupid pencil rubbers were also quite painful to work with. But it was easier. Have you made a mistake with your date of birth? If you have, don't worry. Well, if you did, don't worry. Just go back and put in the correct one. And we'll charge you more money for your policy, because if you messed up putting your birthday in, you probably have dementia. That's the sort of shady that's the sort of cynical stuff they probably do. I'll bet you anything. Have a look at these other fantastic products. Wills. Making a will can help make sure the right people get the right things and that your wishes are followed. Oh, they use the word die there. Well, they're happy to say die in this. They tried to dance about it up here. That's odd. I commend them for saying die for once. These things never do that, but I wonder why they don't... If they're going to do it once, I don't know why they don't do it all the time, but whatever. I'll shut up about that. They've used the word... So, making a will, you're in safe hands, as we've teamed up with Hugh James Solicitors. Are they all... How many? They've got a lot of teammates. They've got a party of 4 going by this Hugh James and those 2 up there. They've got a full RPG Maker 2000 party. Ready to combat Michael Parkinson himself. Maybe he's the final boss. It would explain a lot. A top UK law firm with over 550 employees and more than 50 years experience. I just recall, seeing this reminds me, companies love to boast about how many employees they've got. We have over 200 employees. As if that actually means something. Like, the number of employees you've got really doesn't mean a thing. They could all be... You could have 500 Homer Simpsons working for you. That's not going to make the nuclear power plant any better. Hugh James's specialist will writers will guide you through the whole process and explain things simply and clearly. I want to learn more about writing wills. Yeah, I'm really getting... I'm over the hill now. It's time to be a person with a will. Get over 50 and thinking it over. Another one of these guys that pops up out of nowhere. Is that a guitar? Okay, I'm gonna make a crack at guessing that. I'm gonna make a crack at this. Okay, I'm gonna make a stab in the dark here that this is a famous man from a rock and roller from the 50s that the people that this is targeted at would recognise, because there's no other reason why he'd have a guitar there and his banjo's shark tooth necklace hanging from him there, it seems. So, over 50 and thinking it over. Why choose Sun Life to will? No jargon. No jargon, then what on earth is free will storage? How does the will service work? Have a chat with Hugh James and he will sort you out. Except Hugh James, your call with Hugh James, that really makes it sound like you're talking to a person called Hugh James, but that's just the name of the company. All these lawyers love to name themselves after the person that founded them 200 years ago, because all law companies were made 200 years ago. I don't know why, but they all were. You'll get an information pack in the post about all these things. Why will, after you die, then that happens. Mirror wills, I remember the single codicil wills. Who are Hugh James? They are law firms. Who are they? It is this. High school English teacher would be most displeased. They'll talk about your will and your language. Aye, plain English will speak. Okay, that's good. All about wills. When do I start? Where do I start? You'd think you could just write a piece of paper and just say, look, this is what I want to happen to my money. Just do that. You'd think it wouldn't be that hard, wouldn't you? You'd think they wouldn't have to pay a lawyer and go through all of this palaver to just say, look, I want my kids to get my money, alright? It's a pretty stupid world where the government doesn't provide its citizens with a method to just say, I want all my money to go to little Billy, without you having to get a lawyer and have them draft a 10-page document and go through several redrafts and revisions and whatever else, and then ultimately pay them like £200. You'd think there would be a way to do that without those things being involved, but there's not. Maybe you've got it, maybe in America you do. Not here in the old United Kingdoms of Britain. The United States of America might have that sort of stuff, but not the United Kingdoms of United Kingdom. Well, we failed the first hurdle with this, but let's just reduce our age by 20 years. Increase our age by 20 years. I don't want to go back to being 10 years old again. I had to go to a really miserable school trip. I'd rather not revisit that. That was dire. That was miserable. I was crying every night. Couldn't get to sleep. But we're not here to talk about my repressed traumatic childhood memories. We're here to talk about this. We're here to talk about life insurance. Get your quote. Use the slider below to select your monthly payment. So every month you have to pay something. The more you pay, the less your guaranteed cash payout is. Ooh! I wish there was. If this was one of those CBeebies children's games, there'd be a sound effect for this. It'd be going.